Hi everyone, it's Vaishali from the Kirjana podcast, and here I am today with Naveen, who's the head of partnerships and healing breaths.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for being here today. So I'd love to more about, how is healing breaths like really impacting the community, and what is it all about?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, Healing Breaths is a program under Art of Living that's serving specifically healthcare professionals. Art of Living Foundation, started by Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar, about 40 years ago. About 4 years ago, the story goes that the short story is that there were a few physicians who have done the program and was like hanging out with him. And then he apparently asked, "Do we have any programs to take care of our healthcare professionals in our society, especially in the U.S.?" And the answer was a shy no. And then he said, "Well, we should do something for them, isn't it?"
Yeah.
And turns out today, now Healing West is a thriving program that has done its programs in about implemented programs in about 50 institutions across the country. Over 15,000 healthcare professionals have done
Wow.
various programs from Healing Breaths. And what we really try to do is help improve the well being of healthcare professionals and reduce their burnout. We believe well being is a journey to every individual, which means that every individual is at their own point in the journey. So we believe that it's more than just a program, right? So it's really important to meet people where they are in their journey and support them and give them programs and tools at that stage that they can do uh, and feel inspired to go to the next level and hold their hands through the journey. That's what, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it's really inspiring. I guess like especially helping people who already are dedicating their lives to like
Yeah.
saving others and just helping them, dealing with everything they're going through. Like I think it's a big like impact and it could really like affect so many people's lives out there. So what inspired you to get involved in this work?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things. I keep telling doctors and surgeons who I come across in the program that when I was a kid I wanted to be a surgeon. I thought I had the compassion in my heart, the stability in my fingers, and like the focus in my mind to make it. But I took a different route, and life took its course. And here I am working with the surgeons and the physicians and the nurses, and really everyone in healthcare execs. But this was about sometime at the beginning of COVID. I've been volunteering with the Art of Living Foundation for 20 years, or at least by COVID, it was probably 16, 17 years, something like that. One of our board members actually called me and said, "Hey, Naveen, your experience has largely been in B2B, institutional business development and partnerships and sales, and you've been volunteering at a personal level with the foundation for so many years. Here we have a program that we want to bring to healthcare professionals. Why don't you, you know, jump on board and take this and build, help build this program?" So I was very, very excited about that. At that time, I was also, I mean, it was a perfect intersection of passion and passion for me, the work that I was doing, to be able to bring it here. And I longed to do something like that in Art of Living. But also something else happened when I came to the program. I was speaking to one of the faculty and who's taught a lot of programs, and I asked, "John, why are you passionate about this program?" He's not originally from healthcare, but taught hundreds and thousands of them. So he sort of took a pause, looked into nothingness for a second, and he came back and said, "You know, Naveen, when people choose healthcare, they choose it because they want, so they're calling and they want to serve humanity.
Yeah.
And they come into healthcare and they feel that very quickly they're sort of caught up in the web of the whole system. And they find that they're not necessarily living their calling as much as they're committedly doing everything that they're doing. They don't feel fulfilled inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come and do, and then they come and do our programs, and it feels like they breathe life back in.
Yeah.
So they're doing the same thing, but what moves them within comes alive, and they feel very fulfilled. After listening to that story, I called my manager then and said, "Just send me the papers over. I'm going to sign them." Yeah, yeah. That's the story in short.
Wow, that's so inspiring. I think like as you mentioned the calling that people get, right? Like I feel like life takes so many detours, right? But you end up where, like as people say, destiny brings you to. So
Yeah.
I think, especially, in I've taken a few sky courses through Art of Living as well. And, the main, I guess, point that I always come up with is life is not a race. Um, and they're like, you should live life happily. And so, coming into Healing Breaths, right? You got to network with like all these healthcare professionals. So I guess like venturing out into like the social impact of it. Did you find any challenges that you had to address, and how did you navigate through them?
Always. We always find challenges and always navigate them, right?
Yeah.
True to the words that you said, we really are like a impact startup. That's
Mm-hmm.
his approach, and that's how we work. There are many challenges that we come across, and I think that's what really makes the ride fun. Right. I think one of the biggest challenge, I would say, which is very interesting, is so we're out there to help people, help overcome burnout, help improve their well-being, and sometimes they're so burnt out that they don't have the awareness or the understanding, or and therefore they really feel, or you can say, and the time to invest in their own self to be able to use any of these tools. So, in some sense, it's someone who is actually going on the brink of drowning, and you're trying to, give them a rope or a way to be able to come out of it, tools, if you will, to come out of it, but they don't know, and that's a very important aspect for us to understand when we're trying to serve them, which is really we recognize that helping address that for them is not just through one program. It's really a journey. We need to give them awareness tools as much as they can use at that point of time, where they feel they have come out of it to a certain extent, and then give them, you know, a little bit more pull from the rope where they feel they have come a little more out of it, and then they begin to see that, oh, I guess I can really start pulling myself out of this, right? And the problem of burnout is also, so that's one challenge, right? And that's how we mitigated it. We really created a journey and really staged it and give them only as much. And then just the nature of burnout in healthcare is quite complex. It's not really about an individual themselves, but there's a big organizational component to it, right? And like Dr. Tate Chanifel says, we're probably like in the 3.0 version of well-being. The 1.0 being that, hey, an individual is the one who's only responsible. 2.0 being that, no, it's only the organization that's responsible. And 3.0 is that, well, it's actually both, right? So I think that's another aspect where the challenge is people, depending on where they view, like which perspective they're at, 2.0, 1.0, 3.0, to be able to show that, rather showcase and bring to the awareness that there will always be external challenges for an individual as a healer. And no matter how much, and there's a lot of effort and significant changes we need to do in our systems to begin with, right? That they're operating in and through which they're healing folks, communities and patients and people. But the well-being of an individual, a healer especially, doesn't necessarily rest solely in the system itself, right? So there is a significant aspect for which an individual is responsible for their own well-being. As a matter of fact, if we are equipping ourselves to handle our emotions or thoughts, keep our purpose refueled, if you will, and connected, we could potentially get through some of the most dire external circumstances, actually, and navigate through them, right? So creating awareness around this, and through storytelling, through healthcare professionals actually doing the programs for healthcare professionals, facilitating the programs and teaching for healthcare professionals, creates a lot of empathy, showing, because all of these are evidence-based techniques, showing the research, and also being able to not only do the programs saying that they're evidence-based techniques, but having a very scientific mind bend and actually measure data with pre-post intervention metrics for their specific cohorts and show them the improvement that is happening in their own organization, in their own cohorts, creates a very compelling case, right, for them. So these are some of the challenges that we navigate through. But at the core of it, I really, really think, I mean, my wife's a healthcare professional, and quite honestly, I didn't really understand or at least understand to the degree that I can empathize and understand now, until I got into healing breaths. Burnout is a significant challenge that they face. And if you look at it, and I'm just taking an example of physicians here amongst the healthcare professionals, they go through probably the highest training in the professional world, at least one of the highest trainings in the professional world. And healthcare professionals in general go through extraordinary training. They have very rudimentary processes and procedures they have to follow. At least physicians, speaking about them, they're in the top 5% of, financially in the strata in the society. And they're answering a calling to serve humanity. These people can make a lot of money if they put their mind to it, given the training that they go through and become a physician or a healthcare professional. They could be doing any other thing if they wanted to make money, but no, they choose to serve humanity, which is a very noble cause. If you look at it, this is probably the three intersections are really what a human desires: excellence in the profession, well-placed financially, and to serve humanity. Yet, with all of these three, we have 350 physician suicides in the country. And that's amongst physicians alone. And then that's only top of the pyramid. There's everything that cascades beneath that, the substance abuse that they go through, the amount of depression, and all the other significant effects of burnout. It's a very dire, complex problem. that is there. And we really, and I was only speaking about physicians in point, but nurses were actually had a huge shortage, went through a nursing crisis. Almost 1 in every 3 nurses during COVID and a little after were talking about how they were going through mental health challenges.
Yeah.
About a few months ago, one of the executives from American Medical Association was talking about how the current crisis in healthcare is actually for MAs, medical assistants.
Oh yeah.
So there's really everyone in healthcare that's having a very hard time. Yeah, and that's because they put so much of themselves caring for others, and they caring for themselves always comes to the very end if they ever get to it.
Yeah. And I guess, like, I mean, I'm starting off my journey, as I mentioned, pre-med. And everyone knows just going into like some sort of pre-med journey, it's very stressful. Like, you have to like demonstrate the best of the best to get into, as you mentioned, the higher training and everything. And that could really like going through, and it's like fully say you have to do undergrad, med school, then fellowships, then residency, and it's like at least like half of your life just spent through all that training. So I totally agree. Like, it could be very overwhelming, and especially dealing with patients. Um, there might be also like cases where patients don't want to agree to certain stuff, and it could be very exhausting as well. So yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think Healing Breaths is like an amazing I guess organization. So yeah, I guess my next question for you is, through Healing Breaths, what are your, I guess, future insights with it? Like, how do you want to explore into, like, different ventures? Like, what do you think will happen in the future for it?
I wish I knew the future myself, but I will share what the intention is.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, I want to say, a short-term plan and a longer vision. In the near future, the short term, we really want to be able to bring it to as many healthcare professionals as possible. So we went from 0 to 50 institutions in the last, 3, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be able to take it to a few hundreds in the next hundreds of institutions, and hopefully hundreds of thousands of healthcare professionals in the next few years. And by that I mean in the next 2, 3 years. So that's our short-term goal and vision. In total, I think we're between 6 and 7,000 hospitals in the country. So the goal is to be able to make this as available and as accessible as possible for everyone within a short amount of time. Probably even make people more aware, more than just accessible. I think that's one of the challenges we're trying to navigate. And I think the longer term vision is that, and this is from learnings from other healthcare leaders, healthcare today in our country is very much sick care. So as a healer, as a healthcare professional, we're constantly involved in taking care of someone when they're sick, versus being able to provide care for them in a way that they're actually thriving in their well-being, even prior to becoming sick,
Yeah.
where we're caring for them to be in their fullest health rather than actually falling sick. And there's a lot of conversation now that is ebbing in that direction, right? And in order to, and that's a bulk of what we can actually bring to the table, can actually really help in that, with the evidence-based techniques, with the practices, with the support groups that we have created, that that they're able to thrive in their own well-being, right? Society and community. But in order to for healthcare professionals to be able to support that, they themselves need to be able to thrive in their own well-being, right?
Yeah. And like, there's been so many like sayings, kind of like doctors need therapists too, right? Like it's like kind
Yeah,
of like how therapists, they're like giving out advices to like patients, and then
yeah,
just coming with all of this, dealing with maybe someone else's story, it could be overwhelming as well. And as you mentioned, hearing these stories every day, like maybe like at least 50 people per day, it's insane. So yeah, I guess like what are your insights on I guess how people, especially as you focus like doctors and nurses who are overstaffed with long working hours, how they can like kind of like help themselves, like keep calm and also just like just maintain a healthy life.
yeah. So we have a lot of great question. We have a lot of programming options actually.
Hmm.
We do in healing breaths. We do micro programs like breathers, and these are 15-minute segments. I just call them like the upset of a smoke break. You're just like, and we do these probably about 2 or 3 times every day. So you just like log in. There's a live instructor that really helps them, just walks them through in 15 minutes to do some, just gentle stretches, some breathing, and get into a calm state of mind where you really brush off a lot of stressful stuff. So that's actually such a very simple and accessible way. And that's the 15-minute micro program segments are the easiest ones to start with. And then from there, we have a plethora of other options if they feel curious and they feel, this, I'm going through anxiety or I see that it's actually coming up. What can I do? Or there's a lot of grief and I don't know how to handle that, or there's a lot of overwork happening. So we actually have topic-based programs that we do, every month, and these are about an hour. These are education series. They can get continuing education credits for this, which is really, really cool, actually. Spending an hour coming to these, and they're actually always facilitated. These are 1 hour segments called the Be Well series that are facilitated by other healthcare professionals who are very trained in this. So there's empathy storytelling there on how other healthcare professionals dealt with, whatever topic is being discussed, the science behind it. And the third is giving a very enriching experience to overcome the challenges specifically in that particular topic, right? Vis-a-vis grief, anxiety, etc. Giving them tools and a toolkit and an experience, which is probably the most important piece.
Yeah.
And beyond that, if they want to be able to go through more immersive training, so we have our Sky programs or Sahat Samadhi programs, and these are usually like mini retreats. They're about 3 sessions, a couple of hours, 2.5 hours each day. Again, they get CE credits, which is great. They can use the CE budgets if they have them, which is really great.
Hmm.
And these are very powerful. We call these transformational programs.
Hmm.
Huge uptick in their well-being. They get to take away tools that they can actually use for their lifetime. They can be parts. They can be part of healthcare communities, or rather, healthcare professionals communities. People like them who are coming and practicing these, and if they feel even more inspired and they want to be able to bring this to their institution, they want to be champions. We even do things like champion trainings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a really full-fledged journey to really, whatever their appetite is, wherever they are in the journey. And we are there, we want to support them and be able to help them move through each, every, and any stage that they're at.
And is this is globally or is this like nationwide?
Yeah, so there's a lot of focus in the US now, but
Okay.
Gurudev has definitely given guidance to be able to take this globally. So we're we're having some active conversations.
That's
Um,
wonderful, yeah. And I think yeah, like even it being nationwide, there's like so much like I guess, rejuvenation that could happen through like the healthcare professions, especially with the introduction of AI in healthcare, which is making healthcare professionals' life a little easier. Maybe it be through robotic surgeries or anything. Like I'd say, trying out these tools would be a great way for one to really enhance their way of living. Um, do you have any like words of advice that you'd like to present to the audience?
I would say that it's really important to realize when the pain that we go through when we're sick
Mm-hmm.
and the healers who heal us, the healthcare professionals who heal us, there is a really beautiful human who is on the other side who actually goes through or puts themselves through quite a lot to be able to serve us at our toughest times, moments, darkest times. And they're doing this, and when we are sick, we usually go through sickness, hopefully,
Yeah.
only for a short amount of time. But there they are, spending their lifetime taking care of people.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to recognize that for us
Yeah.
um,
Putting
as
themselves at risk, it's a big
yeah,
honor.
yeah. It's I think it's really important to recognize who they are and honor their place and contribution to our society.
Hmm.
And we have a lot of challenges in our system, but we need to really come together to be able to address them
Hmm.
systemically.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
there may be a lot of like stereotypes or biases that may be present, historically or maybe even be now. Like I feel like the healthcare system, there might be like medical racism also present, which doctors may go through every day. So I'd say like just learning diversity inclusivity is a big thing that I guess as a nation we need to agree on. I mean, even with current events, like politically, I mean, this is not just about healthcare professionals, but as a society in general. Yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on this?
I think once we start seeing like the humanness
Hmm.
behind anyone, it's very undeniable the embracement that we can actually bring
Hmm.
beyond what we see in the front of us, right?
Yeah.
I think to be able to see through that and then see the human behind it really is some sense the beginning of embracing diversity, of accepting, and it's very powerful if we can start doing that. How we go beyond the barriers of what we put or see in front of us. It's become so much more easier.
Definitely. Well, thank you for being here today. And I'd love to like stay in touch with Healing Breaths.
Thank you. Thank you for the honor and the opportunity to share.